Hello, this is Faith at Faith&books, and it's actually warmed up even though it's February 5th. It's like in the low 50s. I'm wearing my poncho here, and the lighting isn't so good. As usual, I'm doing this because I found a few minutes that I might be able to make video, and I'm sitting out here on the porch again. And I'm gonna do a tag, so I'm not gonna put this up till Tuesday. Right now it's Friday. But I saw a tag on Rambling Raconteur. Is that how you say it? Raconteur? I gotta look that up. I think at one point I knew what that word meant, but I don't anymore. Anyway, he's I've heard of him. And what is his name? Jack? Is it Jack? Anyway, but I've heard of him for forever, but I've just recently started watching his channel. Really good stuff. So I'm taking this tag from him, but he did not originate it. It was Josh at Literary Gladiators that originated it. And I'm just going to go through real quick and do this tag. It's kind of it's a little attenuated between the brand name of the coffee and then the question. But here goes. So prompt 1, Maxwell House. I always thought Maxwell House was dreadful, but it's, the slogan for it is good to the last drop. So a work that was good to the last drop. And I'm thinking that something that was so good to the last drop that it was the ending of a really excellent series. And the very last book in the series was a great book on its own, but also a really brilliant wrapping up of the whole series. And that would be The Last Chronicle of Barset. I read that not last year, but the year before. I read the whole series, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. But the last book, I just thought was brilliant. It had its own, arc, its own plot, yet it managed to tie up a lot of the loose ends of the other plots from the other novels, and it was wonderful, really wonderful. I had such an afterglow after that book. I was just floating for days. So I highly recommend the whole Barchester Chronicles, or Chronicles of Barchester, something like that. And then the last book I thought was just brilliant. So that's number 1. Number 2, Folgers. I also think they have dreadful coffee. A work you were eager to resume reading. And I'm going to say, that must have something to do with the slogan, the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. I'm going to say the book I'm reading right now, The Brothers Karamazov, because many decades ago, I tried to read it, and I was really struggling, and I got to the Grand Inquisitor chapter, and that just broke the narrative, and I was having so much trouble anyway, I just stopped. And so decades went by, and about 3 years ago, every Thursday I taught Latin at this co-op, and it was a 50-minute drive there and a 50-minute drive back. And so I decided I wanted to try it again, and I just listened to it on the LibriVox recording. And I loved it. It absolutely blew me away. But I felt like I missed a lot because I was listening to it while I was driving. And so I find I miss a lot when that happens, when I try to do that. It's not such a great way to listen for me, but in terms of retaining content. So now I'm reading it with the read-along that Dostoevsky in Space and others are doing, and I'm just immersing myself. I'm like savoring each chapter, that I can just sit and read it, and I'm not listening to it while I'm trying not to get hit by 18-wheelers and that sort of thing. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'm glad that I resumed that in a way. Okay, prompt number 3, Chock full of nuts. I think Chock full of nuts is a really good coffee. I like the flavor of that brand. We can only find it in one store around here. Anyway, a work that transports you to a wealthy environment. That's funny because I don't think of that as being the coffee of people who are wealthy. But did you know that Jackie Robinson was sat on the board or something? There's some sort of connection with Jackie Robinson. Anyway, what came to mind right away was Bonfire of the Vanities, I think by Tom Wolfe. I read that ages ago, but I just remember it's really funny. But it's about a guy living the glamorous life in New York City with this great, apartment on Central Park, and he just can't keep up with the Joneses. He's always worried about money, even though he's living in this incredibly high level of like the upper class lifestyle. It was very comical. But so that was the first book that sprung to mind. Let's see, Dunkin. I really like Dunkin' Donuts coffee. A scene-stealing, supporting character. I'm gonna say the dogs in Georgette Hare romances. She has a few, or at least two, that had come to mind, where a dog features as a secondary character and steals the scene. They're just a hoot, just laugh out loud funny. One's in Frederica. It's a big hound. I forget what they called it. They made up a name for this mutt to impress people. And the breed. They made it like it was just some rare breed. And then there was another dog in The Reluctant Widow. That was really funny. Was it The Reluctant Widow? Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so I'm going to say the dogs in Georgette Hare romances. Let's see. Wawa, a work that makes you think about New Jersey. Now, we don't have very many Wawas around here. We just got a new one in town. It's like a big event. But I actually have an answer for this one because I had a roommate from New Jersey, and she told me about the Pine Barrens, which I had never heard of before. And this was ages and ages ago, of course. And then at some point after that, I read chunks of John McPhee's The Pine Barrens. And I don't know how I read it. I think I was either like, was it published in the New Yorker or something? Like as a serial or something? Because I sort of remember reading it maybe in that way. Or I could have been staying the weekend at somebody's house and they had it and I read chunks of it. I don't think I read it cover to cover. I don't think I went to the library and got it. I certainly didn't buy it. But I remember reading chunks of that book. And being, I feel like going, now that I've thought of it, I feel like going to the library and getting it out again and rereading it. But yeah, I'm going to say The Pine Barrens by John McPhee. Starbucks, a writer you find pretentious but admirable. I could not think of an answer to this. If you're pretentious, I don't find you admirable. I can't get over that prejudice. So I could not come up with an answer to that one. Number 7, McCafe. This breaks my heart that this is something that's global from America. The prompt is an excellent source for world literature. Oh, I forgot to bring it out. I don't have a real answer to this, but I read all the time to the 5-year-old, and I read it to my other kids, this Usborne book of world myths. And I showed it before, I think. You open up the end papers are a map of the world, and you can pick which country, and then you read a myth from that country or continent. And that's the only thing I can think of. I don't really know of an excellent source for world literature, frankly. All right, number 8, Peet's. I once had a cup of coffee from Peet's, and it was dreadful. I've never gone back. A work that especially succeeds with its words. Oh dear, I was going to go look this up. I don't know, I'm going to say Shakespeare. He invented words. So I'm going to say all of Shakespeare for that one. Because, he really created so many new words and really changed and influenced English. So I'm going to go with Shakespeare. Cafe Bustelo, a work from a Spanish-speaking country that translates especially well into English. Okay, so this is going to be controversial because I read this version of Don Quixote, and it was translated, I think it was published in the 40s or 50s, and it was translated by Walter Starkey, and he was an Irishman, and so when he translated, first of all, he abridged it to be more family friendly, so that you could read it out loud as a family, read aloud or read along, and he also made all the peasants have Irish accents. So I think this is really looked down upon by people who are more sophisticated than I am, but I thought it was utterly charming. I didn't mind that he cut out some of the raunchier parts, and I thought that the Irish accents in a Spanish context was really striking and charming, and I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this book. I could not put it down. So I'm going to say that that was prompt number 9. Prompt number 10, Lavazza, a work that gives you a scene of Italy or Italian culture. And I've talked about this before too, The Complete Little World of Don Camillo. I've read this twice. I need to move on to the other ones, but this is just great. It's about a mayor and a priest, or a priest is the real Don Camillo, is feuding with the communist mayor of this little town, this very poor town in Italy after World War II. Absolutely charming stories. I love them. Okay, so that's my answer to number 10. 11, 8 o'clock. I don't know if I've ever had this coffee. 8 o'clock. Your favorite use of a time of day in a song. And I think I'm going to say Morning Has Broken by Cat Stevens. I love that song, and I'll sing it. I sing it to the 5-year-old when we come out here, and I push him in the swing. I'll sing it, Morning Has Broken. So I think that's my favorite song that mentions the time of day. Let's see. Gevalia, a writer whose works are always rich. Oh gosh, I skipped over this one when I was thinking through these prompts. Who can I say that's different from Shakespeare? I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say, so many, all the classics are really rich, right? Dostoevsky right now is incredibly rich. Trying to think if there were other, there's so many. I'll say Dostoevsky or Cervantes or Shakespeare. I didn't think enough about that prompt. Trollope is always rich. Dickens is rich. There's a lot. 13, I've never heard of this coffee. Chase and Seaborn. Your favorite literary partnership. I'm not sure what this means in a book. So I was thinking through, and like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, or Rambling Raconteur said Jeeves, Jeeves and Birdie. I can't. It's not coming to me. But anyway, I think I'm going to say Lord Peter Wimsey and Harriet Vane in The Busman's Honeymoon. I find Dorothy L. Sayers either brilliant or just, like, I just don't get it. Like the one about golfing in Scotland, I couldn't get through it. I thought the one where he proposes, which one's that? I thought it was super pretentious. Speaking of pretentious, maybe it's Dorothy L. Sayers, I should say, for that one. But I think I'll choose, though, because Busman's Honeymoon, I thought really, really captured a new marriage and the complexities of marrying. I thought it was a really good portrayal, and plus it was a good mystery. So I'm going to say Lord Peter Wimsey and Harriet Vane in Busman's Honeymoon. Let's see. Prompt 14, Martinson, never heard of this coffee. Your favorite word or expression that originated in a work of literature? I'm going to... Can you say... this isn't literature, but Patrick Henry gave a speech, Why Do Men Cry Peace When There Is No Peace? That line has always stuck with me. Or I think of, this might mostly come from the 1995 adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, but just sort of the, Kitty, you may cough as much as you choose, and must you tear my nerves to shreds? Lots of quotes from that one. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. Let's see. 15, Native American coffee. Never heard of this before. A work by a Native American you would like to read. So, long time ago, I started to read, I think it's called The Birch Bark House, out loud to my kids, and for some reason we didn't continue it. And ever since then, it's been like 20 years, I've been wanting to read that book. So I think I'm going to say that one, The Birch Bark House. I think it was sort of a Native American answer to the Little House on the Prairie kind of thing. And I'm forgetting who wrote it. But anyway, that's the book that I would like to read. Number 16, Sanka. How would you go about reading more works from different genres? I don't think I will. I'm older. I know what I'm not going to be into horror. I'm not that into science fiction. It's a rare thing. I'm not that into fantasy. It's a rare thing. I might every once in a while I might enjoy something, but I'm not. I'm not into experimental fiction. So I'm just not. And Sankin isn't very good anyway, so I don't need to worry about how I would go about reading more works from different genres. That sounds so close-minded. I'm sorry. Number 17, your favorite brand of coffee. I don't have a favorite brand right now. Usually, because I shop at different stores depending on the other errands that I'm running, and so I usually just try to get something that is. I'm more concerned about fair trade, and I prefer a light roast. I'm more concerned about that, and I want to be able to grind it in the store or have it buy it already ground, because I'm not into grinding my coffee at home. But I want to give a shout out to the a coffee shop, an independent coffee shop in my town that called Cafe Amore, that is very involved in the community, does a lot of great stuff, and they have really good coffee, and they're very conscientious. It's locally roasted, and everything good about coffee. And when my youngest daughter, has suffered from mold illness for a few years, and she had a relapse or whatever, and she had to go on a really strict diet for weeks. She's still on a strict diet, but she went back to school. But we tried to order like mold-free coffee. It's super, super expensive, and we got this big 5-pound bag of it, and it tasted dreadful. We couldn't stand it. But she found out that in that little coffee shop, Cafe Amore, has mold-free coffee. And so that was the thing. When she was home from COVID, she was feeling really depressed. Her boyfriend's up in Philadelphia, and she wanted the full college experience. She wanted to be able to be on campus and have friends and be involved in stuff. And she's such an extrovert, and then having to come home for COVID and just be home was so depressing to her, and do everything virtually. And so she finally, thank God, they've finally gone back. But the one thing that kept her happy was that she could go out every day. She would reward herself by going out, and they had contactless pickup. You could order it and then just go pick it up at the window without getting close to anybody. And so I think that is my favorite coffee spot right now, even though I don't actually drink there very much. But I'm just so pleased with how that and it's local, and it's a local place with people who really care about what they're doing, and it's become like a community center for a lot of things. So I just want to give them a shout out, even though if you don't live near me, you don't know. But it's Cafe Amore. And who do you tag? I have been so out of the loop. I don't know who I want to tag. If you're watching this and you want to do this tag, please feel free to. It was fun, even though some of the prompts I couldn't really come up with good answers. But all right, so that is it. This is long enough. I'm going to get busy doing other things, and I'm not going to put this up till Tuesday, so it's going to be a few days. I'll probably make another video that I'll put up right away this weekend. Anyway, so that's it from me. I hope you're doing well, and happy reading. Bye.